Hi, sweethearts. Happy day. Happy now in the now. So I was just sun gazing and I thought I'd come on here and, excuse me, say hello. It's quite a journey, isn't it? I have been through the thick of it. I have fallen into the gap big time. And, Source has been showing me, surprisingly suddenly, where I have not been loving me, where I have been leaking my power and my energies. Can't quite get all the words I want, but excuse me. And I had heard messages, a message somewhere in my life over the last months, somewhere, that when I say somewhere, I mean it could have been in a channeler. It could have been in a word, something someone said randomly in the store. It could have been anything like that. The encounters that you have and the things that you hear that are all messages to you from your higher self. And what I heard was, we don't want to have to make you sick. It was like, so I thought, oh, so they don't want to give me a cold or the flu or something so that I have to stop and slow down even more. But oh, no, 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 no. That was not it. It was not it at all. And so when I went more into the gap and processed, actually, let me not say it that way, because what I meant, I was zooming in on that beautiful sun and got distracted. But when I had been in Costa Rica all of June and drinking the water and doing all my things and eating the food that I could find, which wasn't all organic. And I did get some, and I became a little bit accommodating, even more so than I had been in the months prior. But I have always been, aspire and intend to be a strict vegan. And when I say vegan, I mean whole food vegan and no processed. And so I have been in my best health when I have done that. And I have gone at least a year dedicated and just naturally doing it, and then, fall into friends and acquaintances and, partnering up that way in such a way that spending time, weekends with people and whatnot, I became accommodating and to the 3D food a little bit, and then it filters back in and we fall back on old paradigms. And then I ended up with somewhere along the line, I think that was in 2010, 12 or something, 2012, because, I had all that. Anyway, I don't do time, and so that's just irrelevant, but I'm just sharing this with you so that it might be for someone to assist them with whatever. But I just lost myself in a sense and fell back into old patterns and the old paradigm of the 3D eating and food of some sorts. And I don't mean really, 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 but I mean like I was eating, cheese is my weakness. Cheese, and I'd have pizza all too often because, you know, there's always a new beginning the next day, but you get to start fresh. But the thing of it is that you don't realize how often you're eating just that thing in one day, because then it's every day. And so it becomes substantial when you're not filling up on healthy things and you're eating cheese or you're eating, I don't know, I can't think. But so that's the story. And so what ended up happening during COVID, I ended up with fatty liver. I just went in for a check because I had a slight pain in my right side. And I said I require a intravaginal thing, ultrasound. And so they did that. And what they told me was that I had to have my gallbladder out and that my liver was fatty from rich foods, and that my lifetime of rich foods, and that there was a lesion on my kidney. And so with that said, I said, oh, no, 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 nobody's taken my gallbladder out. I've healed myself my whole life without doctors. And, you know, I had chronic Lyme and lupus and, oh my God. So, but anyway, I had everything. But I am known in spirit world as the master healer. And I have always taken things in my own hands and healed them. So with that said, where'd the sun go? Oops, sorry. I did my thing and changed my diet back, and then I used castor oil packs and did a bunch of things to heal myself. No fatty foods and whatnot. And so I did that. But then, you know, what happens is you start, you know, they wouldn't let me go back in because I didn't do vaccines or masks. And so they kicked me out of the place and wouldn't let me go in to have another one at the medical center. So I was denied access to health care. Anyway, and big threat I was. They sent me a legal paper saying you were a threat, you were dangerous, and all I was doing was sitting out meditating on a rock while I waited for them to decide or to do whatever they did. But anyway, that's a whole story that I have alchemized, and we don't need to talk about that. But I'm just sharing this because I feel like I need to, for the benefit of anyone who it might help. So that went on, and then I started to feel better, and then, of course, I became accommodating again with old paradigms and patterns of eating, and, you know, then I started drinking coffee again and all that, and I don't just drink coffee, then I drink too much coffee. Because of construction, we would have coffee breaks, and my dad was an intense coffee drinker, and blah, blah, blah. And so those are not my beliefs, but those were the habits that I had incurred, or whatever the word is, through this lifetime. And so it needed to be alchemized. It needed to be, you know, I needed to change my paradigm. So anyway, I hadn't, and I was in denial without really realizing it. And so I'd go good, and I'd eat some good, and then I'd fall back into these horrible patterns. And it was like not horrible by 3D standards, But by my standards, having come from eating fatty foods all my life, it was not good at all. And so, I mean, I don't eat meat. I can't eat meat. I don't want to eat something that suffered, that had trauma. And then when you eat it, when they kill these animals, they go through trauma. And so then you are eating that fear. And everything's energy. So I don't eat meat. I haven't in this lifetime mostly. And but I go back and forth. I would go back and forth on eggs. That's another thing. Anyway, but I just wanted to share this because I ended up with, just of late, I was falling back. I went through some poverty, where I literally had $5. So when I came back from Costa Rica for the month of July, I had no money. My Social Security card was lost and used. Somebody used it or something, and there was less money on it because they stopped giving me my assistance in paying for my, what's it called? The health insurance, Medicare, that's on there, because I'm retired and on my Social Security debit card. But anyway, so that went on, and then what happened was I wasn't eating a lot, and thank gosh my cousin, she's such a treasure. She was bringing me vegetables from their garden and some unorganic apples, which is fine. I started eating, I eat organic, and I wasn't eating when I was in Costa Rica and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, I feel compelled to share this because it's about healing, and I want to share it. And so what happened was I wasn't eating a lot, which was so good. I mean, I don't eat a lot, but I don't know portions. I was never taught portions in my lifetime in this family. And so my portions would be too big, I feel. Anyway, because of paradigms, and I have shifted my beliefs and shifted and surrendered to Source, and am in a perfect place, and I've changed my beliefs, but I was still in lack. And it was like I heard that message. It was, we don't want to have to make you sick. You need to love yourself. It's time for you to embody your power and not leak your energy. And I can't think of the other words. But anyway, so I'm like, okay. And so I just, like I said, I thought it was just maybe I needed to slow down, and that they were going to make me, slow down more by making me sick, because I still was doing more than I should, even though I wasn't by anyone's standards. And I was spending time in meditation, and I was spending a lot of time in bed, and integrating and processing and changing my beliefs, and by myself, and avoiding all kinds of energies, because I'm very susceptible, and because of my human design, I take on everything, and then I alchemize it for humanity. So anyway, with that said, I one day, after that being in lack, when I got my Social Security in July, I had to go to the library, and so I went to the library, and as I was going to the library, on the way back, I said, God, I'm God. I can have whatever I want. I think I'll have an ice cream. And there was an ice cream shop there. And so I treated myself to an ice cream, which you wouldn't think isn't so bad, right? Or there's no judgment. But I then went and had to use the bathroom on my way I had diarrhea that was urgent, and I had to stop literally not even a mile from the place and go into a Dunkin' Donuts and go to the bathroom. And the story is such. And when I came home, I had something to eat. I had the spaghetti, that type stuff, noodles, and some that were given to me by my cousin, I believe. Oh no, the food pantry. I went to the food pantry. That's a whole nother thing because all that food is not organic, and they give you potato chips and a whole bunch of caca shit that is totally processed and not healthy. I forgot to tell you that. During the lack in July, I was eating stuff from the pantry, thinking, well, whatever. And I shouldn't have, I should have just maintained. But of course, I ate it. And so I had that. And so all of a sudden, after that ice cream, when I came home and I just was going to have my spaghetti like stuff, noodles, a little portion of noodles with tomato sauce that they had given me, and then the vegetables I put in there, all the greens and some, squash and stuff. Anyway, I ate that, and I was sitting at my kitchen table, which is about 5 feet from my sliding glass door, and I literally couldn't even barely walk to the door. I had on my nice dress from being out and about, and I had to urgently go out on my deck, and oh my God, I had like scary, unbelievable diarrhea right through my underwear, down my legs, and a big mess. Never in my life have I not controlled diarrhea or made it to the John or ever had such a thing happen to me, like with the flu or something. But, oh my gosh. So what I had to do was then clean up, and I'm like, God, source, what is this about? Because I had that pain back. I had that pain right before it, right in my liver, under my right boob. And I'm like, what's going on? And I thought of, we don't want to make you sick. And I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. I'm like, source, what is going on? And so I spended diarrhea. Oh my God. And I've had diarrhea for weeks, I think, maybe. I don't even know time, but I use some ivermectin for liver cancer, for bacteria. And I, did my compresses around the clock, castor oil, and I'm drinking onion and apple tea that I boil, and I'm eating onions because they absorb bacteria that causes cancer. Cancer is caused by bacteria from the way I understand it. So anyway, it's a lot, and I've been through a lot, and so in these weeks, or a week, especially a week of intense, I also had my lawn mowing guy my lawn needed to be mowed because people didn't mow it while I was in Costa Rica. It was 3 feet high, and I went to my neighbors prior to this all happening because there was a guy mowing their lawn, and I went down in my pajamas and I said, can you help me? I'm wondering if you can come up and look at my yard and see if you can do something. And he came up, and I told him I can't pay you until the 3rd or when I get my Social Security. But he came, and he He came on a Monday and mowed my lawn, and I got my lawn somewhat better. I was so grateful, but what I didn't realize is he's from Ecuador, dear ones, and he doesn't speak English well. And instead of saying he had no clue, he's like, yeah, yeah, and he had no idea what I was saying. I mean, it's just like, what is wrong with people? I mean, I would be like, I don't speak English. I have no idea what you're saying. Here, use my translator on the phone. And so all these times he came back like another time and mowed it, like a week or two later. I can't do time, and when he was there, I offered him some coffee and he came inside. But he had texted me and said, I really like you. And happens to me all the time. People are attracted to my light and my unique expression and my, who I am, my soul. Anyway, and so, gosh, my frequency. And so either they hate me or they love me. And so he said, he comes in and then he was like, he starts massaging me when I was making the coffee in the back. And then it was very intense. Let me just tell you this. And then he he said, let me massage you. Your muscles are, he was like, doesn't speak well. He got out his app on his phone. And that made me realize, he has no idea what I've been saying this whole time. And he said, let me massage you. Thank you for the coffee. And so he was massaging me. And then he started to just about take my clothes off and rape me. I mean, he grabbed my boob and it was like, he's rubbing his hard dick on me. Oh my God, you guys, I cannot make this up. And this was all from Source showing me that my boundaries, I let this person in my house. Well, because I'm very open. And I say, dear one, and I send love and I love you. And this misinterpretation through the, what is it? Through the communication, the language barrier. He had the wrong impression, apparently. And it was just like, they have different ways. Women, I have no idea, but it was mind-blowing to me. And it was a message from Source. So there was the two things, the health and boundaries and discernment, and how I present myself and still was lowering my frequency in order to accommodate people's comfort. And so there's so much. This is just the tip, but I just wanted to share it. And this was all from Source. It was like 3 days after the day or a couple days after the day on the deck with the diarrhea, this guy was back and I had this going on. And it was just like, I'm just like, oh my God, Source, I gotta go to bed because I gotta process this. It was major, 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 major processing and integration and alchemy and comprehension. And so, I could have been scared shitless. Oh my God, liver cancer, kidney cancer, gallbladder, and, instead of that, I choose love and I choose to be healthy. And so that is what I've chosen. And I'm a shaman. We're everything. I mean, I'm a master healer. I'm the master healer. And I'm a master alchemizer. And I'm a master manifester. And we can go on and on. But I have healed myself my whole life. So anyway, I will keep you posted. I am done with this, and I have surrendered to God anyway, and I know that I have a purpose, and it's major, and I am here as a prophet and an ascended master, and I have risen, and I am here to assist humanity. And that's why I'm giving you this message, because everything happens for your growth and benefit. And you need to pay attention and really process and not have fear, because it's about, mastering your beliefs, surrendering to God, and it's about changing your beliefs. I don't remember what I said, but all of it. It's about, changing. It's about trusting God and then just alchemizing it, because the past doesn't exist, and so everything that happened yesterday doesn't exist. So we can just step into other timelines, and that's the way we manifest. And so I will be fine. And so, but the intensity of it all was just like, oh my God. I mean, most people would be like flipped out, scared, and just like, oh, look what he did to me. No, nobody does anything to you. Source provided all of it for my growth and for my benefit. They were showing me where I was not loving myself. That's the only way I can say it. I was not, I can't think of the words, guys. But anyway, so I wanted to share that because there's so much more that I get. I mean, the words don't do it justice. And it's challenging to even to begin to, to share. But I felt Source wanted me to share this because we are here to heal and grow and claim our power and embody our divinity and be the grand masters that we're meant to be. At least some of us are. Some of us are not meant to do that. In this lifetime, they did not choose that. But so with that said, I don't know. Maybe that's enough. There was more I wanted to share, but that's enough. I love you so much, and I hope this is helpful to someone. So yeah, no fear. I am going to spend time. I think I'm going to do a painting, which I've been resisting. I'm also got another project that I'm doing, but I'm not sharing that with anyone. But maybe I'll just do something light. And I did go out in the yard and do a little yard work and get into nature, which was wonderful. But we need to focus and align. When everything we pay attention to, we create. So I'm going to do the gift that I was given in these lifetime, which is so many, and that's the problem, is I can't decide which thing to do. But I'm going to, I say it now, I intend to, today, I think I will draw and create some artwork or something. So anyway, do something you love, guys, because that's the key to alchemizing the past and changing your timeline and manifesting the abundance that God wants to give you. Because God could not give me my abundance because I was still leaking energy. And how can I have a full cup if I'm lowering my frequency in order to make people comfortable and doing the things that I was doing that were in a paradigm that wasn't serving me? And the food thing, and because of my health, they cannot provide abundance if you are not well and you're not loving yourself. So I love you, and I shared this because I love you, and I hope it's helpful. Bye now.